Hacer comparaciones. Cuando hacemos comparaciones, we make comparisons to highlight the ways in which two or more nouns are equal or different. Por ejemplo, este coche es tan caro como un iPhone, y Gloria es más alta que su papá. ¿Cómo hacemos las comparaciones? The following slides will outline formulas that you can use to make comparisons of superiority, inferiority, and equality in Spanish. Each formula will require the use of an adjective, adverb, or noun. Here in this table below is a refresher of some common Spanish adjectives and adverbs. Can you think of any others? Also, you'll notice that there's a little star next to adjectives. This is to remind you that in Spanish, our adjectives always agree in gender and number with the noun that they're agreeing with or describing. Primero empezamos con comparaciones de superioridad e inferioridad. En otras palabras, las comparaciones de desigualdad. The first is comparisons of superiority. So your formula is going to be a verb. There's a star here to remind you that the verb will be conjugated. Then más, an adjective, adverb, or noun, and que. Por ejemplo, el baloncesto es más divertido que el fútbol. Here you can see that divertido, my adjective, agrees in gender and number with the noun, so el baloncesto, and my verb is conjugated from ser to es. El baloncesto es más divertido que el fútbol. This is a comparison of superiority. Next, we'll talk about a comparison of inferiority. Really, all that changes in this formula is that instead of saying más, you say menos. So as you can see, we have our conjugated verb, menos, our adjective, adverb, or noun, and then que. Por ejemplo, en España hace menos frío que en Iowa. Vamos a practicar. Tenemos unas frases aquí de Harry Potter. Some sentences for you to practice. I recommend pausing this slide to make sure you have time to fill out the answers. The next slide will tell you those answers. Las respuestas. Número uno. So in this sentence, we're talking about Hermione. We're saying she is smarter than Draco. This is a sentence of superiority. Entonces, Hermione es más inteligente que Draco. I've already given you your adjective here. So you have inteligente, you're just filling in that she's more intelligent or smarter than Draco. Número dos, what we want to say is Professor Flitwick is smaller or less big than Hagrid. Entonces la respuesta es, el profesor Flitwick es menos grande que Hagrid. Como siempre, tenemos unos irregulares. Some Spanish adjectives and adverbs do not fit the formulas that we just talked about. Some of the examples of these are bueno, malo, viejo, and joven. So, por ejemplo, en este modelo tenemos el baloncesto es más bueno que el fútbol. In English, what we would say in this sentence is basketball is more good than soccer. But as we know, that doesn't make as much grammatical sense in English. It doesn't sound as good, same in Spanish. So what we would rather say is el baloncesto es mejor que el fútbol. And what that means in English is basketball is better than soccer. So if these four adjectives and adverbs don't fit the formulas, we have bueno, malo, viejo, and joven. Bueno changes to mejor que, malo to peor que, viejo to mayor que, y joven to menor que. Aquí tenemos unos ejemplos de los irregulares. Entonces, para ejemplo número uno, tenemos la educación primaria en España es mejor que la nuestra. Ejemplo 2. Los dibujos del profesor son peores que los dibujos de los estudiantes. Aquí tenemos más ejemplos. En ejemplo número 3 tenemos el maestro tiene más de 8 libros y Miguel estudia menos que Ana. In these two examples, you can see a different type of structure to our formula. So in example number 3, we have el maestro tiene más de 8 libros. We haven't seen más de before, but we use más de to say in this sentence, the teacher has more than 8 books. Similarly, for example 4, we don't have an adjective, adverb, or noun in between menos and que. We simply have menos que. So we have Miguel estudia menos que Ana. Miguel studies less than Ana. So there are some situations where you don't need the full formula. I encourage you to pause this slide and think about more examples like example 3 and 4, and write down any questions you might have for your instructors where your sentences may not fit the formula or where they may be more like these irregular examples.